Hi everyone, welcome back to the TV studio. As Biddy mentioned, indeed, I'm joined by two of our ESOMAR representatives from Peru and
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. So the two different angles and corners of the world. Maybe you could tell us who you are and a little bit more about the country you work in and kind of the environment there.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I am Urpi from Peru, a country in South America, for the ones who don't know very well. Peru is a growing economy, but the last year it has been a very tough one because we had a very difficult political situation that affected the economy. But it's in terms of market research, it's an $80 million country. And with a long tradition, we have a local association for over 30 years, so we are well organized and we have a very good reputation in the country.
How is the cooperation between the different Latin American markets?
It's quite close. We have all the national reps, and we have the ESOMAR Latam, so we meet every year, and not only between reps, also between associations, there is some exchange, especially in terms of events or in terms of, for example, socioeconomic levels. It's a big issue in Latin American countries how to define the socioeconomic level. So we share knowledge, we share methodologies in order to be the local associations, the one that set the reference. So every market research company has the same way to measure the socioeconomic levels for the benefit of the market and the clients, because clients don't have one provider, or one supplier, they have many companies, and they need that all the companies give data that could be compared. So that's why we are working on that as a market. Some, especially multinational companies, have headquarters in maybe Argentina or Colombia and want to have results all over the region that can be comparable.
Absolutely. Very interesting. And Chris, Hong Kong, a small market, but very central and important for the business in the area.
Exactly. We're a population of only 7-8 million, but Hong Kong has a lot of impact for the rest of the region. So many projects are coordinated from Hong Kong. So we're working with many different markets, and it's one of the challenges for us is that we have very developing markets through to the very sophisticated, from a research perspective, markets. So always a challenge. And many different languages. So we're not just dealing with a couple, we have many.
So what are some kind of trends, for example, if somebody's looking for expanding their business in Asia, what would be trends that you could point out to us?
Well, the first thing is you've got to define what Asia is. So obviously, we have such differences from Pakistan and India all the way through to Japan and then down to Australia and New Zealand. So that the opportunities that exist in those markets are very different. So I think it's the first thing will be to identify which one of those markets to be looking at. And then, leading on from there is not assuming that everything's the same, because all markets are just so fundamentally different.
And what would be some interesting trends or kind of insights that you could share with a global community coming from perhaps Peru or the region as a whole? As you say, you try to collaborate and
Yes, and something interesting in the region is that still online market research is very low in relation to the world. In Peru, for example, internet penetration is 66%, but online market research is 9%. So it's a challenge all over. It's a trend all over the world, but for Peru, it's a challenge to go from traditional market research to online and artificial intelligence and all that. So it's a long way to go, but the good thing is that the market is changing, and now clients and agencies are aware that we have to evolve and go to the next level.
And I can imagine these particular challenges are valid for certain parts of the Asian market and absolutely not so much for others.
Yeah. Often it's sort of counterintuitive. So some of the developing markets are the first ones to adopt more innovative methodologies, and the more mature markets are a lot more conservative in that sense, and they don't like to take up new tools. They want to see how it develops in other places first. So it's not always what you think it's going to be. Yeah, that's the key difference.
How important is it to connect at global platforms like this and connect maybe with very different markets that perhaps you don't necessarily interact with on a...
Hong Kong and Peru, yeah. Right. I think it's critical for us to not be so insular and to be only focused on what's happening in the Asia-Pacific region, but to look at what's happening in other regions, and certainly Congress is a fantastic vehicle for that.
Yes, you share experience, and not only experience, but you expand your network. Sometimes you need to, I don't know, do some new project and you have never done it. So you connect to another country that has experience and can share the methodology, can share the experience. And that's the way that we can improve as a market, or you can bring new things to our countries. In this Congress, there are lots of suppliers and stands showing new things that we can adopt as a company or as a market. So global events like this one are a huge opportunity for us in terms of networking, in terms of learning, in terms of innovation. Yeah.
And the roles of ESOMAR representatives, how do you fare in these terms, support from the global community, perhaps with some of the challenges or driving even further innovation in the region?
I think one of the things that we've learned over time is to try and combine together as much as we can as an ESOMAR, or I can as an ESOMAR rep, and all the benefits that ESOMAR brings in terms of knowledge and what Urpi just mentioned, and then relate that to the local association, the local market research association. So the younger researchers who are coming into our industry can get the benefits of what ESOMAR offers as well, even though they may not necessarily be members themselves of ESOMAR. So we think that kind of works very well for us.
It's a good combination, to mix the local expertise with the global vision, and that will give us the opportunity to transform our industry in a moment that everything is changing, market is changing, consumers are changing, so we have to change also. And sometimes you don't have the solution, but to work together with ESOMAR and the local association, it's an opportunity for us. For example, in Peru, we have our local event last year and this year. ESOMAR helped us organizing the event, organizing the program, suggesting the keynote speaker and other speakers that will improve the program and also knowledge in the market.
I really like that. Bring the local expertise with the global vision. I like that. I think that's a good way to end. Thank you so much for taking the time and for bringing some insights from two very different and incredibly interesting markets. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.